of marks and men. I want to talk to you, everybody, about the differences between being a mark and being a man. Now, initially this was just going to be a pro wrestling rant, but it might apply to other people, so I'll try to make it a broad statement. But basically, this AEW Dynamite wrestling program that is literally being taped 15 minutes from where I live now, here in Jacksonville, Florida, they haven't been allowing fans, paid fans, to come and see the shows because of the whole COVID-19 thing. And it was just brought to my attention that on August 27th, 2020, they will be selling tickets for the live event. And, you know, as a wrestling fan, you might think that I would be all giddy and happy and jolly and be rushing to set an alarm for tomorrow morning at 9:56 so I can be on the computer bright and early. And then I start to go through the statistics and the analysis, and basically it's $30 a ticket. You have to buy at least 2 tickets and up to 6, and then you're kind of clumped away from other fans, and they're only selling the venue to 10% capacity, and if that works out and nothing drastic happens, then they'll go up to 15% in following weeks, and it's a good plan. And yes, as a pro wrestling fan, it's very tempting for me to want to purchase these tickets and support the cause, and in some ways I can justify it in saying, hey, this is an FU to the coronavirus. It's an FU to people who eat bats, or the government that forces people to be so hungry that they eat bats, or to our own government that some might say planted some type of virus in order to control and manipulate society. I mean, there's all these stipulations. So there's a big part of me that says, buy the ticket. You want to show your patriotism or your rah rah rah. And then another part of me says, well, the owners of this particular wrestling company, AEW, they put $1 million in Donald Trump's pocket for his 2016 campaign. And now, no matter how you feel about Trump, can you say that he handled this coronavirus the best way? Probably not. And did he wear masks? No, himself, not really. And some might say, well, Trump, he would have been called a racist had he put in sanctions against China and visitation earlier. When has Trump ever been afraid to be called a racist? When he was making these promises for a wall against Mexico and saying, some of them are good people, but some of them are rapists and so forth. So was Trump ever afraid of the racism label? So the point is, this AEW wrestling program, whose owners are multi-billionaires in this community that I'm living in, they put $1 million in Trump's campaign. Now, does that mean I should or shouldn't go? It makes me want to less spend my $60, because I wouldn't even be able to buy 1 ticket. I'd have to buy 2 tickets, and then I'd be in a situation where I'm scrambling to find somebody who'd want to go to a pro wrestling show in the middle of Jacksonville on a Wednesday night. So the point of the matter is this, folks. I was going to even do a poll. I was going to poll you, the loyal Mike Messier YouTube Pro Wrestling Rant viewer, and say, should I go to this AEW show? Weighing the consequences. And I've just kind of decided that for me to buy a ticket to this show, and look, in full disclosure, I sent a letter to Tony Khan before I moved to this state, and I sent him 2 letters, of which I got no response, and maybe he didn't get the letters. But me, knowing my own intelligence, my own creativity, knowing that I could help with this show, although they don't use writers, which I understand that, because WWE has soiled the whole profession of wrestling writers. They created it and they soiled it and they destroyed it because Vince McMahon doesn't listen to his writers. That's the other wrestling show for you non-wrestling fans. Basic point of the matter is this: I have my own things to do. As you know, I'm building this YouTube channel. I want to thank, basically in the last month, I think I've gotten 36 new subscribers. The whole TubeBuddy thing is working out quite fine. You can find my TubeBuddy link if you want to try it yourself, if you make content. More people are watching my videos, more people are corresponding. For me, it was a breakthrough day yesterday. I got 2 videos over 100 views each in mere hours, and I have some great videos, my own personal films, my Messier mantras, my Pro Wrestling Rants, great stuff on this channel that has like 20 views. So the fact that I'm doing things in a different way, I'm doing the SEO and all that good stuff, I'm making myself less of a mark, is the point. This video is not going to apply to everybody, but for some of you out there that see yourself as an artist or a writer or a filmmaker or a wrestling podcast person, or if you want to be a pro wrestler, or if you want to be a performer or a singer or an actor or an actress, you know, at some point you have to stop buying tickets for other people's stuff. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. You have to fade out of being a fan, and I hate to use the term, but I will, a fanboy fuck. You have to stop being a fan of other people and put the time into your own stuff. And for me, I've been very supportive of other people. You can look at Messier Mantra, you can see all the wonderful things I've done for people, interviewing them. But at some point I realized every hour, every minute, every day I spend on someone else's project is time away from my own projects, time away from my own writing, my own passions. So, like I said, of Marks and Men, I mean, there was an anecdote that I was going to tell first, but I forgot. Here it goes. Back when I was kind of pseudo-managing a local rock band in Providence, Rhode Island, they had a big show. It was a big college rock tournament, like a radio station did this tournament, BRU, and they would have these rock hunt, and the bands would compete, and the audience would vote, and all this good stuff. And there was actually like a record, kind of like a CD demo recording as the prize, and money and fanfare and all this stuff. And this particular show, one of the actual members, they were in the tournament, they were in the fucking tournament, this band that I worked with, one of the members didn't show up. He didn't show up for his own show. And I think he was the bassist or something, and then they had to scramble and they had to fill the spot, and it sounded like shit. And then the result was, why did this guy not show up for his own show? Well, he went to New York City to see Ween, another band, a popular college-y type band at the time. Ween, you might have heard of or not, but they were very, independent, underground, whatever the fuck, music, but they had quite a following. And this kid did not go to his own show to see somebody else's show. And that's what I labeled at the time the suburban attitude. The suburban attitude, because of course the kid was from the suburbs, like many of us are. The suburban attitude is when you're not born rich and wealthy, you're not Ivanka Trump, you're not Chelsea Clinton, you don't have this silver spoon put into your system where everything you do is wonderful and magnificent and everybody wants to find out about it because you're the son or the daughter of somebody famous. Even a Drew Barrymore falls into that. But the reality is you're not poor, you're not hungry either, you're not from the streets. You know, you're not DMX or whoever the fuck who has to scramble for every dollar you make. So you don't have that hunger to get out of the hood, to get out of poverty and to fight. So what you're in the suburban attitude is you're just comfortable enough to be insignificant. You're just comfortable enough to buy a ticket to see every Star Wars movie. You're just comfortable enough to pay $60 for 2 wrestling tickets that you could see the show for free. You have that suburban attitude, okay? Well, for many of us, myself included, we have to fight to overcome that comfort of just doing well enough to not matter. Watching football on Sunday, taping your favorite program on your DVR and fucking whatever the fuck, Netflixing and chilling and fucking whatever, all that goddamn shit that fills up your mind and convolutes your shit, and you're constantly oppressing yourself by being a fanboy for someone else or a fangirl. So some of you are consumers, and this is not an insult, but some of you folks who have like the 9-to-5 job, the typical job, if that's what you're happy in, or you're doing something that hey, you work your 9-to-5, you work your 40 hours and you're done, and then you go home and you watch stuff, Netflix or whatever, or maybe you have a passion for some of these things, or even my videos, and I thank you for that. But for people who have a feeling, like me, basically, myself, who I have the wonderful script inside of me, Distance from Avalon, distancefromavalon.com, Fight or Play Basketball, Wrestling with Sanity, all these projects that I've started have not come to fruition because I constantly allow myself to be distracted by other people's things. So this $30 ticket, this $60 ticket for 2, I'm going to pass on it. And yes, the pro wrestling, and there's part of me that says, oh, if I just went to this fucking show, maybe I'd meet somebody. Well, that stuff never really fucking happens, to be honest with you. That, oh, buy a ticket and you'll meet somebody. That fucking never happens. And all these assholes will say, oh, I know somebody. They never introduce you. You have to do your own thing in this goddamn world. And Mike Messier of Marks and Men. Be a man, don't be a mark. Even if you're a lady, be a woman. Mike Messier.